Welcome back, boys and girls. This week our liturgy it's called the Lockdown Liturgy, and I think under the circumstances where we find ourselves, it's such an appropriate song to start our liturgy with. It's called In Moments Like These. Yes, even in these moments, we can sing out a love song to Jesus. So I invite you to sing with me. In moments like these, I sing out a song. I sing out a love song to Jesus. In moments like these, I sing out a song. I sing out a love song to Him. Singing I love you, Lord. Singing I love you, Lord. Singing I love you, Lord. I love you. In moments like these, I lift up my hands. I lift up my hands unto Jesus. In moments like these, I lift up my hands. I lift up my hands to the Lord. Singing I love you, Lord. Singing I love you, Lord. Singing I love you, Lord. I love you. In moments like these, I open my heart. I open my heart unto Jesus. In moments like these, I open my heart. I open my heart to the Lord. Singing I love you, Lord. Singing I love you, Lord. Singing I love you, Lord. I love you.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our liturgy for this week here at CBC, in our CBC family. And today I invite you just to calm down for a few moments, to break away from the activity, and just to reflect on what are the more important things in our lives. I invite you to enter and to listen and to participate. Our Bible reading comes from the prophet Isaiah. And in this reading, we hear so beautifully how the Lord never, ever, ever forgets His people. Sometimes we think that the Lord has abandoned us. It's not true. There's such a beautiful story that we hear of this man walking on the beach. And every time he sees that the Lord is with them, and he sees two sets of footprints. And a moment arrives when he only sees one set of footprints, and he judges God, and he says, Lord, where were you? And that's a time when the Lord said to him, but that's the time I was carrying you. And that's exactly what the Lord is doing to us. He carries us during the times of need. He doesn't abandon us. He will never forget about the people He's chosen as His own, which is us. Doesn't mean we are perfect. It means we are sinners, but that's fine. We make many mistakes. That's also fine. The Lord does not abandon us. Let us listen to this reading, and we hear one of our girls, our school girls, will proclaim this reading for us.
A reading from the book of Isaiah. The Lord said to His people, "When the time comes to save you, I will show you favor and answer your cries for help. I will guard and protect you, and through you make a covenant with all peoples. I will let you settle once again in your land that is now laid waste. Sing heaven, shout for joy. Let the mountains burst into song. The Lord will comfort His people. He will have pity on His suffering people." But the people of Jerusalem said, "The Lord has abandoned us. He has forgotten us." So the Lord answers, "Can a woman forget her own baby and not love the child she bore? Even if a mother should forget her child, I will never forget you." The word of the Lord.
Che morena Gesù, yare du meletse, yare du meletse, oza mai sai fachedi. Che morena Gesù, yare du meletse, yare du meletse, oza mai sai fachedi. Alleluia, Belozarona, ditabile caufela. Alleluia, Belozarona, ditabile caufela. Alleluia, Belozarona, ditabile caufela. Alleluia, Belozarona, ditabile caufela. Che morena Gesù, yare du meletse, yare du meletse, oza mai sai fachede. Che morena Gesù, yare du meletse, yare du meletse, oza mai sai fachede. Alleluia, Belozarona, ditabile caufela. Alleluia, Belozarona, ditabile caufela. Alleluia, Belozarona, ditabile caufela. Alleluia, Belozarona, ditabile caufela.
Just to see and to experience what it is like during this time of lockdown. So I want you to watch us carefully.
Good day, everyone. Good day, boys and girls. Good day, parents. And welcome to this presentation of the liturgy for this week. And the liturgy this week is about lockdown and a bit more than just the simple things about lockdown. Let's go a little bit deeper, especially for our little ones. I want to tell you a story. And the story begins something like this. I have a piece of A4 paper with me. There once was a rich man. And this rich man could do anything that he wanted. And he decided to buy him wait for it, a boat. He bought him a little yacht, beautiful. Okay? And he entertained his friends on the boat, and he basically did what he wanted, everything he wanted. And then there came a time when he became bored, and he said to himself, okay, what can I do now with everything that I own? So he decided to buy him a big, wait for it, what do you see? A house, the best house in the whole town. And he welcomed all his friends, even the people he didn't know, and he had party upon party, and he enjoyed himself. And then one day, again, he became bored. He became bored of the yacht. He became bored of the house. And he said to himself, now, what can he do with his life? He has all the money in the world. You know what he did? Notice what he bought himself. Wait for it. I wonder if you can tell me what he bought himself. Wait for it. Wait for it. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. What do you think it's going to be? What do you think it's going to be? Look, he bought himself a jet. The fastest jet in the whole world. And he flew to all the different countries. He entertained his friends. He had all his parties. He had a beautiful time. But he also became bored. He became bored of the yacht. He became bored of his beautiful house. He became bored of the jet. And then he went back home. And as he was walking down the street, he saw on the side, he saw a church. And he said, you know what, let me go inside. And inside the church, the preacher was there talking about many things. But one of the things the preacher said was, and it got stuck in his ears, and he heard this very well, the preacher said, you know, many people have many things in the world. But sometimes, if you learn to do without some things, notice I cut this off. Learn to do without some things. And watch what I'm doing with this papers. I'm putting on the side. Later on, I'll show you a trick with these. So that represents maybe the yacht. Then there was, remember what was the next thing? It was the house. So if you don't put all your energy and everything into the house, remember there was also the jet. So if you say, you know what, I don't give purpose. Those things don't give purpose to my life. Don't give meaning to my life. Whether it's a yacht, whether it's a house, whether it's a jet. Cut all those things. And then the preacher said, you know what? What you have left is the thing that gives real purpose to your life. And what do you think that is? What or who gives real purpose to your life? And boys and girls, parents, what gives purpose to our life is what we see in front of us. This is what gives purpose and meaning to our life. It's Jesus Christ. It's worth much more than a yacht, much more than a house, much more than a jet, much more than all these other things. Remember, during this time of lockdown, the most important thing we have is not our wealth. It's our families. To be able to pray together, to be with Jesus Christ together, to trust in Jesus Christ. And that gives real meaning to our life. Let's pause there for a moment. Boys, you remember what happened when I tore off all those pieces and I said to you, I'm going to do something with those pieces later on. Just notice. Remember we said that we have two choices. We have two choices. We can either choose to take what God gives us and use it for the greater good. Not just for ourselves, but for the greater good. That is one option that we have. So all these pieces that I broke off, notice what happens to them. All of them. That we have a choice. If we choose to take everything that God has given us, but only use it for ourselves, being selfish, doing what we want, not caring about other people, putting other people down, and this is going to be the end result for us. This is the place that is waiting for us. And I don't think that's a place where everyone likes. That's the place that's waiting for us. But that's a choice that we have. But there's another choice. If we choose to take the things, what God gives us, and use it for good, then something can change. Notice what can happen. Instead of going to this place, instead of going to hell, we have this possibility for this to happen. Just think about it. We can end up having and experiencing, wow, just think about it. What does that look like to you? What does that look like to you? Okay, there's an L. Do you see the L? Notice I'm making an I, and what do you call this over here? Look at this one over here. That we call an F. We have this possibility to experience life.
And I think the most important thing that we can do as families is to pray together. So remind yourselves, remind mommy and daddy that we have to pray together, not only during this time, but always. And God bless us all. This picture that we're looking at is very profound and it helps us a lot to enter into this time of lockdown, what it really means. And here's a question I have for you. What is worse? To be locked down in our homes or in a cell with our bodies, or for our souls and our hearts to be locked down? What do you think is worse? We're always told, especially in the church, that our hearts are always restless. Our hearts are always restless until they find rest in God. Now, what does that mean? How do we find this rest? How do we find this rest? Yes, it's true. To find this rest, we need to have faith. It's true. To find this rest, we need to go to church. It's true. But this doesn't simply mean going to the church as a place or a church as a building. I'm sure it's much more than that, because I myself, I see it exactly. I go to church for myself, but often I listen, but actually I don't listen. And I come home, and when I act, I do not act in the same way as what I've heard that was said in church. And that's always a problem. So in the church we talk about faith with good works or faith without works. What are the works that we are called to do? I think these are works of love. These are works of doing good to other people. Yes, doing good to other people even when they do not deserve it. Sometimes the wife nags, sometimes the kids nag, they throw a tantrum. They don't deserve it. But sometimes in that moment, that's a real work of eternal life. To do good even when someone does not deserve it. So ask the question again, what is worse? To be locked down physically, or for our souls and our hearts to be locked down?
A reading from the book of Proverbs. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. The word of the Lord.
So how do we know when something is wrong? What are the telltale signs? What are the dead giveaways in our own life that we know that something is wrong? Maybe there's a test that we can take to see if something is wrong. Maybe the first thing is that our worries list is much greater than our prayer list. Maybe when we lie awake at night, we worry about what happens tomorrow. Maybe when we do everything in a hurry. Maybe when we turn to human beings first. It's easy to turn to human beings first because they will say the things that we want to hear. Maybe we know something is wrong when we manipulate situations, whether at work or whether at school, with our friends. Often when we make decisions without praying about it first, always do our own thing and not the work of the will of God. Maybe we only feel secure and do things so that others may like us. I think many of us do that often. when you impose yourself on others, that things must be done your way, etc., and not to listen to others. So these are some of the things that we can think about that will help us to realize when something is wrong. So what is the good news in all of this? Yes, we have our weaknesses, yes, we have our issues, we have our problems, but the good news is the fact that there's an answer. There's an answer to all our situations, all our problems, and that answer is Jesus. The important thing is we have to open ourselves up to listen to Him. We have to open ourselves up to stay in His will, and we have to ask. We have to ask the Holy Spirit to come down upon us. Christ cannot force His way upon us. God cannot force Himself upon us. We have to ask. And that is why we have free will. God has given us free will because He loves us, but He doesn't force us to love Him back. And this is the freedom that we have. And to help us, if we really want to help, if we really want a help, we have to ask, we have to listen. So let us sing this final song.
Hi everyone. Now we're going to sing that song, There's Nobody Like Jesus. We spoke about that story about the boat. This rich guy had a boat. He had all these beautiful things. He had the house, he had the jet, he had everything in his life, all the money. But he wasn't happy because he lacked one thing, and that cross which represents Jesus. So there's nobody like Jesus. Let's sing one of our favorite songs here at the college. I invite you to sing with me. Okay, so really sing it out and sing it all for Jesus. Ahuna ya twana ni Jesu, ahuna ya twana na ye, ahuna ya twana ni Jesu, ahuna ya twana na ye, kanya ke hosle kadikulu, hosle kabukumana Jesu waka, ahuna ya twana na ye, kanya ke hosle kadikulu, hosle kabukumana Jesu waka, ahuna ya twana na ye, ahuna ya twana ni Jesu, ahuna ya twana na ye, ahuna ya twana ni Jesu, ahuna ya twana na ye, kanya ke hosle katikuluwa, hosle kabukuma na Jesu waka, ahuna ya twana na ye, kanya ke hosle katikulu, hosle kabukuma na Jesu waka, ahuna ya twana na ye. What does the song say? There's nobody like Jesus. Let us never forget that.